In the last 2 or 3 seasons, Arsenal have added something to their arsenal that is a game changer. And all it's done in the last 2 to 3 years is rattle and annoy rival fans, TV pundits, and pretty much every other fan on social media. Now, as you can tell by the thumbnail, in this video, we're talking set pieces. We're doing something different. This isn't your typical preview. This isn't your typical match reaction. We're going to try and bring something new to this channel, which is a bit more of a deep dive in how Arsenal are able to score so many goals from set pieces. Is this dark arts? I've seen reports and tweets coming out that rival managers aren't happy with the amount of time it's taking for Arsenal to take a corner, of how physical they are. Is this dark arts or is this pure mastery? Let me know down below. Let me know your thoughts on this style of video. Drop a like if you haven't already. And make sure you go down and hit that subscribe button and let me know your thoughts. Now, in the last couple of hours, Fabian Hürzeler, the Brighton manager, of course, Arsenal travel to the Amex tomorrow to actually play Brighton. And this is what he has had to say with regards to the set pieces. Ahead of their Premier League meeting on Wednesday, Brighton manager Fabian Hürzeler is questioning the amount of time. For me, the main topic is to make a clear rule on how much time you can waste for a corner, for a throw-in, for a free kick. I think no one recognises it, but Arsenal has a corner and they are leading sometimes and they spend over a minute to take a corner. Fabian Hürzeler on the time Arsenal spend on set pieces. Now, this isn't just Arsenal. The entire Premier League now heavily focus around set pieces. The Brentford set piece coach is now their manager, has brought in long throws. This happened years ago in the Premier League when Rory Delap literally brought in his own version of a throw-in, which was basically a cross into the box. No one ever questioned it. Everyone thought it was fantastic for the Premier League. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting, is when you actually look at who has the most goals in the Premier League for set pieces, and you look at how when it comes to speaking about Arsenal, the narrative is different to speaking about Liverpool. Liverpool have transformed their set piece record by copying key trend sweeping the Premier League. Liverpool scored 3 times from corners in a victory over West Ham. Now, they won 5-2. They scored 3 goals. Did anyone hear anything bad said about Liverpool because they scored from 3 set pieces? You need 3 things for these set pieces to work, and I'll break those 3 things down in a couple of minutes. But why was nothing said about this? This come out earlier today, that Liverpool, our setup is slightly different, but the biggest reason is that things have gone back to normal. So because Arsenal set pieces are very dominant and they're so effective and they've set a trend, people then copy that trend and nothing gets said about the people that copy it. But because Arsenal are the best at it and they have found a different way of winning games, they've only scored 1 or 2 set-piece goals. I think it's 2 set-piece goals in their last 8 games. But the narrative moves, the goalpost moves. I'll give you another example, right? This is coming out from statmuse.co.uk. In the Premier League this season, Arsenal have the 2nd highest XG in the Premier League, right? As you can see by this table. They have the 2nd most amount of goals in the Premier League. They have the most wins in the Premier League, and they are currently, tell a lie, they've actually got the most goals in the Premier League. As you can see there, the goal chart in red. 1 more goal than Man City, 1 more win than Man City, 2 less defeats than Man City, and the 2nd highest XG. The 3rd highest amount of passes in the Premier League by any team. But why is it when Arsenal do something, it completely completely changes people's perception of them. I don't necessarily subscribe to the reality that this Arsenal team is a bad footballing team. Now, this is really interesting, right? This is a graphic from Sky Sports about who has got the most set piece goals in the Premier League. And as you can see, Arsenal are out in front in 14. But Man United, who have got immense praise this season under Michael Carrick, have only got one less set piece goal. Chelsea, who are in third, have only got two less. But the narrative isn't the same. My point here is what makes Arsenal so great on set pieces is two things. And those two things, what Arsenal are able to do in those two things is, one, keep defensive players busy. And what they do is get Gabriel in a one-on-one situation or Saliba with the defensive player of the team defending the set piece. How many set pieces this season have Arsenal actually conceded? I think it's under 5. The amount of times they get into a dangerous situation where Gabriel is isolated with the defensive player, and 9 times out of 10, he has the beating of that defender. Now, this picture is from the Arsenal versus Manchester United game. If you see at the back post, this is from a couple of years ago. This is when Arsenal really started to get good at set pieces. What they start to do is move 4, 5, 6 players towards the back post, which then the defensive players over there, like Mason Mount, Harry Maguire, Højlund, etc., are anticipating runs into the box in and around the 6-yard box. That is one avenue they normally do. Since they've started doing this, every other team in the Premier League has copied on. It's very similar to Guardiola's style of football. Everyone wanted to play tiki-taka. Now everyone wants to copy Pep. Now it's become a more transitional game where counter-attacks are more common. Now set pieces are heavily involved. But because Arsenal were doing this better than anyone else, and because they're top of the Premier League, the level of hate from rivals, it's absolutely insane. And when I was talking about the 1v1 situation, this is what you end up with. Gabriel in a one-on-one situation, in this situation, up against Kyle Walker. And you know full well that when that scenario plays out, Gabriel has the better of Kyle Walker in the air. And what's really, really annoying people is how good they really, really are. The next thing, so you've got players stopping players get to Gabriel allowing the space, and the third thing, which you get from Saka and Declan Rice, is a world-class delivery. How many other players in the Premier League, you could maybe say Dominic Szoboszlai, and that is it. They'll put in and Enzo Fernandez, those 4, put in a world-class delivery 7, 8, 9 times out of 10. And since this has come on, all of a sudden, there is a lot more, I don't want to call it slander, but there's a lot more rattled fans. If you look at set-piece goals conceded in the Premier League, I showed you the graphic earlier of set-piece goals scores. This is set-piece goals conceded in the Premier League. And where are Arsenal? They've only conceded 5, which is the second best. So it's one thing to score, but it's also one thing to be incredibly organised from a set piece. How many times have we seen different teams like Liverpool, very, very, very strong on the press when they had Firmino, Salah, Mane, Gini Wijnaldum? They called it the Gargan press. Guardiola had tiki-taka, one-touch pass and move. And Arsenal have the set pieces. Then you're seeing Premier League managers coming out moaning about how physical set pieces are. Well, look at the Man United game when Everton were trying to ruffle up Lamans. Nothing was really said from an Everton perspective about giving them some stick. Fabrizio Romano just put a quote out from Michael Carrick. And this is what Michael Carrick has had to say. on resting it at set pieces in the Premier League, I think it's gone too far. The success of set pieces, putting so many bodies close together, has made more teams do it. In terms of the game, it doesn't feel like we've got the balance right. I mean, look right there, and there's the example I was just speaking about with regards to them trying to ruffle up the keeper. But all they're doing, Everton, and all these teams are doing, is just exploiting a team's defensive weakness. That's pretty much it. Like, I look at the situation right now in the Premier League. Set pieces are so important for every throw-in, corner, free kick. How many other teams have a world-class delivery like a Declan Rice and Saka? You know, there's a lot of images going around that Saliba and Declan Rice were trying to ruffle up players. That's part of it now. That is where we're at with regards to with regards to the Premier League. It takes over a minute. It disturbs the rhythm of the game. How many times did we see Jose Mourinho bring in the dark arts, or Diego Simeone? And everyone loved Jose and everyone loved Simeone for the way they conduct themselves on the touchline and their tactics. You know, people used to call it time wasting. But when it's Arteta, maybe it's because he hasn't won a Premier League title. But when it's Arteta, and because it's Arsenal, and Arsenal got such a big online presence, and Arsenal happily sing set piece again every weekend, I don't subscribe to how Man United and Chelsea can do something, but no one gives them any stick. But if Arsenal do it, like, it's absolutely insane. It really, really is. I think they've revolutionized the Premier League for set pieces. Like, their set piece coach is one of the best in the world. It's as simple as that. He really, really is. You know, I'm pretty sure he gets a goal bonus or something because the amount of times they score from set pieces. Let me know your thoughts down below. Is this dark arts or is this pure mastery? Drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you soon. I'm out.